Captain Marcus Reed crumpled the deployment orders between his fingers, watching the thin military-grade paper fold into itself like his once promising career. Kepler-7, a forgotten mining world on the Outer Rim, specifically the ramshackle outpost known as Thorndale. This was where the Stellar Federation sent officers to rot away from civilization, either from mind-numbing tedium or exotic pathogens, whichever claimed them first. Perfect, he muttered bitterly, hurling the wadded papers across his austere quarters. 4 weeks had elapsed since his arrival punishment for striking Colonel Brennan's nephew during a heated confrontation over tactical blunders that had resulted in unnecessary casualties. The military tribunal labeled it insubordination and assault. Marcus called it a long-overdue reality check for a spoiled brat. His new assignment, monitoring an energy transmission array that hadn't witnessed combat since the colonial wars concluded 2 decades ago. The indigenous population towering azure-skinned humanoids with unsettling, obsidian orbs for eyes maintained careful distance from the handful of humans stationed among them. Marcus's daily existence consisted of equipment diagnostics, perimeter patrols, and battling the overwhelming urge to drink himself unconscious. His lodgings, a prefabricated metallic container attached to the transmission facility, possessed all the charm of a detention cell with marginally superior plumbing. On this specific morning, Marcus chose to deviate from routine. He'd observed a modest establishment at the settlement's periphery that appeared to serve sustenance. His stomach protested at the prospect of anything beyond standard military provisions. The establishment, if one could dignify it with such a term, was a squat stone structure with an arched roof. Inside, the atmosphere carried unfamiliar aromatics and fermented plant matter. Several Keplers turned to observe as he entered, their midnight eyes dilating before returning to their meals. "You accommodate humans?" Marcus inquired of the owner, a robust Kepler with intricate facial tattoos. "Currency acceptable. Nourishment suitable." The alien responded in fractured Federation standard. "Sit. Request." Marcus selected a corner table and requested whatever the proprietor suggested. While waiting, he studied the other patrons, cataloguing their behaviors and social structures. Military conditioning never truly disappeared. That's when he first noticed her. Unlike the other Keplers, her skin displayed a lighter shade of azure, almost translucent in certain areas. She moved silently throughout the establishment, clearing dishes and cleaning surfaces. Her platinum hair was secured in a simple arrangement, revealing delicate features and downcast eyes. Her clothing was threadbare, stained with evidence of manual labor. No one acknowledged her existence. When she approached tables, conversation ceased until she departed. "What's her situation?" Marcus asked when the proprietor delivered his meal, a steaming bowl of something resembling violet broth. The Kepler's expression contorted in what might have been revulsion. "Zorani, in pure bloodline, performs contaminated work others refuse," Marcus observed as the girl completed her duties. The proprietor handed her a small container of food and gestured toward the exit. She nodded and departed without utterance. Curious, Marcus approached the window. Outside, the girl sat isolated on a stone ledge, opening her container to eat in solitude, while the temperature decreased with the setting star. "She cannot eat indoors?" Marcus asked, returning to the proprietor. "Zorani presence corrupts food, causes illness if they consume near others." The proprietor shrugged as if explaining the most fundamental fact in existence. Something within Marcus snapped. He'd witnessed sufficient prejudice during the wars to last multiple lifetimes. Without comment, he returned to his table, finished his meal, and ordered a second portion for transport. "Additional hungry?" the proprietor asked, surprised. "Something along those lines," Marcus replied. Container in hand, Marcus ventured outside. The girl looked up, startled as his shadow fell across her. Her eyes large and luminous with a striking golden hue against her azure skin, widened in alarm. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, indicating the empty space beside her on the ledge. She stared at him, confusion evident on her features. "You wish to sit here? Outside? Fresh air benefits digestion," Marcus said with a shrug, settling down before she could protest. He placed the food container between them. "Thought you might want something warm. That stuff you're eating appears to have been sitting out for hours." The girl stared at the container as if it might attack her. "Why would you do this?" Marcus met her gaze directly. "Because eating alone is terrible, and arbitrary rules about who can eat where are bullshit." Through the establishment's windows, Marcus could see the Keplers watching, their obsidian eyes filled with shock and disgust. Some were already whispering to each other, gesturing angrily toward the pair. "You're provoking them," she whispered, glancing nervously at the windows. Marcus grinned, revealing white teeth in his weathered face. "Excellent. I've been bored senseless for weeks." For the first time, a hint of a smile touched the girl's lips. "I'm Lyra," she said softly. "Marcus Reed," he replied, extending his hand. "Now eat before it gets cold." As Lyra hesitantly accepted the food, neither noticed the proprietor stepping outside, communication device in hand, contacting the local authorities. Chapter 2. Confrontation. Marcus was halfway through his meal when 3 Kepler officials approached, their ceremonial garments fluttering in the evening wind. The tallest one, bearing elaborate facial markings indicating high status, stepped forward. "Human soldier," he addressed Marcus formally. "You violate local customs. Return inside immediately." Marcus continued eating deliberately, taking another bite before responding. "Last I checked, this ledge wasn't assigned seating." The official's obsidian eyes narrowed. "Zerani consume separately. This is tradition." "Your tradition, not mine," Marcus replied, his voice level but firm. He noticed Lyra shrinking beside him, her food untouched since the officials arrived. "You disrespect Thorndale customs," the second official interjected. "We inform your commanding officer. Go ahead. I'm certain Commander Nash would love to hear how you treat sentient beings like refuse." Marcus set down his container and stood, his 6-foot frame towering over the Keplers. "I'm just having dinner with a new friend." "That illegal here?" The lead official's skin darkened with what Marcus assumed was anger. "Zerani carry contamination, historical enemies, impure bloodline." Lyra suddenly spoke, her voice soft but steady. "That's false. It never was true." All eyes turned to her in shock. Apparently, Zerani weren't supposed to address officials directly. "You!" "Silence," the third official snapped. "No, I think we should hear what she has to say," Marcus countered, crossing his arms. "Since you're also concerned about her." The officials exchanged glances, clearly unprepared for this confrontation. After a tense moment, they retreated several steps. "This not concluded," the lead official warned before they departed, disappearing into the gathering darkness. When they were gone, Marcus sat back down. "Well, that was interesting." Lyra stared at him with a mixture of fear and awe. "No one has ever defended me before." "Then everyone here is an asshole," Marcus said bluntly, pushing her food container closer. "Eat, you need your strength." As they resumed their meal, Lyra began to speak, her voice gaining confidence with each word. "What they said about Zerani, it's all fabrication. Centuries ago, our worlds were at war. Zerani was defeated, but instead of establishing peace, The Kepler leadership spread rumors that we carried a lethal plague. They quarantined our entire planet, permitting only the most desperate Zerani to leave as bonded laborers. And the disease? Marcus asked, never existed. It was propaganda to justify keeping us as a permanent underclass. She sighed, tucking a strand of platinum hair behind her ear. By the time the truth was discovered, the prejudice was too deeply embedded to change. Marcus felt a surge of anger. That's beyond fucked up. It's simply how things are, Lyra said with resignation. Doesn't mean it's how they should be. As they talked, Marcus found himself increasingly drawn to Lyra. Despite her circumstances, there was a quiet dignity about her, an inner strength that resonated with him. When she occasionally smiled, her entire face transformed, golden eyes crinkling at the corners. Why are you really here, Captain Reed? She asked eventually. Kepler 7 is hardly a prestigious posting for a human officer. Marcus laughed without humor. Let's just say I have issues with authority when authority is wrong. Like tonight? She observed. Exactly like tonight. Their eyes met and something electric passed between them. Marcus felt a pull toward her that went beyond simple attraction or sympathy. I should leave, Lyra said suddenly, standing up. If they see us talking too long, let me walk you home, Marcus offered, rising to his feet. She hesitated. That would only make things worse. Then when can I see you again? The question seemed to surprise her. Why would you want to? Because I like talking to you, Marcus said simply. And because I haven't had a real conversation with anyone since I got to this hellhole. A flush darkened her cheeks to a deeper azure. I work at the water purification facility tomorrow. There's a small grove behind it where I take my midday meal. I'll be there, Marcus promised Dot as they prepared to part ways. Marcus impulsively reached out, his fingers brushing against hers. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through him. Her skin was cooler than a human's, but surprisingly soft. Be careful, Captain, Lyra warned, though she didn't pull her hand away. Keplers don't forget or forgive easily. Marcus, he corrected, and I can handle myself. She finally withdrew her hand, but her eyes lingered on his face. Good night, Marcus. As he watched her disappear into the shadows between buildings, Marcus knew he'd just crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Whatever consequences came next, he'd face them head-on. What he couldn't have anticipated was how quickly those consequences would arrive, or how drastically they would change both their lives. Chapter 3. Awakening Marcus's communicator buzzed. At 0600 hours, jolting him from restless sleep filled with dreams of golden eyes and platinum hair. Captain Reed. Commander Nash's gruff voice came through. My office. 0700 hours. No excuses. Yes, sir, Marcus replied, already knowing the reason for the summons. The commander's office was a Spartan affair standard issue desk, chairs and the Federation flag hanging limply in the corner. Commander Nash, a barrel-chested man with a perpetually sunburned face and thinning grey hair, glared as Marcus entered. Sit down, Reed, he ordered, not bothering with pleasantries. Marcus complied, maintaining perfect military posture. I received a rather interesting communication from the Kepler Council last night, Nash began, tapping a datapad. They claim you're disrupting local customs and creating a diplomatic incident. Care to explain? I shared a meal with a Zerani woman who's forced to eat outside like an animal, sir. Nash's expression remained neutral. The Keplers have their own social structures, Reed. We're guests here. With respect, sir, their social structure is built on lies and prejudice. The commander leaned forward. I don't give a damn about Kepler's social politics. I care about maintaining our presence here without incidents. The transmission array is a glorified relay that could be operated by a trained monkey, Marcus interrupted. Sir, Nash's face reddened. You're already on thin ice, Captain. One more misstep and I'll have you shipped back to Earth for a court-martial faster than you can say dishonorable discharge. Are you ordering me to comply with their discriminatory practices, sir? The commander studied him for a long moment. I'm ordering you to keep a low profile. Whatever personal crusade you're on, drop it. That's an order. Marcus stood, his jaw tight. Will that be all, sir? One more thing, Nash said, his voice softening slightly. The Zarani girl. What's your interest in her, really? The question caught Marcus off guard. She's being mistreated. I don't like bullies. Just be careful, Reed. Interspecies relationships can get complicated. Marcus felt heat rising to his face. I don't know what you're implying, sir. I've been stationed on more backwater planets. Then you've visited, son. I know the look of a man who's found something or someone that interests him. Nash sighed. Dismissed. By midday, Marcus had made his way to the water purification plant, a squat utilitarian building on the settlement's edge. Behind it, as Lyra had described, stood a small grove of alien trees with phosphorescent blue leaves. She was already there, sitting on a fallen log, her platinum hair loose around her shoulders. When she saw him, her face lit up with a smile. That made his heart skip. You came, she said, sounding surprised. I said I would. Marcus sat beside her, closer than necessary, though my commanding officer strongly suggested I shouldn't. Lyra's smile faded. You're in trouble because of... Emmy. I'm in trouble because I have a problem with authority, he corrected, bumping her shoulder playfully with his. How's your day been? As they ate and talked, Marcus found himself increasingly captivated. Lyra was intelligent and perceptive, with a quiet wit that emerged as she grew more comfortable. She told him about Zarani culture, their art, music, and traditions kept alive in secret by the diaspora. I've never met anyone like you, Marcus admitted as their meal ended. A Zarani? No. Someone who endures what you do without becoming bitter or broken. Lyra looked away. Maybe I'm just good at hiding it. Without thinking, Marcus reached out, gently turning her face back toward his. Her skin felt cool beneath his fingers. A pleasant contrast to the humid air. You shouldn't have to hide anything, he said softly. The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken possibilities. Marcus leaned forward slightly, and Lyra didn't pull away. Their lips met hesitantly. At first, then with growing urgency. Her mouth was cooler than a human's, but incredibly soft, and she tasted faintly of something sweet and unfamiliar. When they finally separated, both were breathing heavily. That was ... Lyra whispered. Yeah, Marcus agreed, unable to find adequate words. This is dangerous, she warned, even as her hand found his. I don't care. Marcus's voice was husky with desire. Do you? Instead of answering, Lyra kissed him again, her slender fingers threading through his short hair. Something primal awakened in Marcus. A hunger that transcended species and customs. They barely made it to his quarters, slipping through the settlement, using back alleys and service corridors. Once inside, all restraint vanished. Clothes were discarded. Hands explored unfamiliar terrain, and boundaries between human and alien blurred into insignificance. Their joining was both strange and familiar, different in the details, but universal in its meaning. Two beings finding connection in a hostile world, defying everything that would keep them apart. Afterward, as they lay tangled together on his narrow bed, Marcus traced the delicate patterns on Lyra's skin, subtle markings that became visible only in certain light. You're beautiful, he murmured against her hair. She laughed softly. By Zerani standards, I'm quite ordinary. Then Zerani standards are impossibly high. They dozed, waking occasionally to explore each other anew, until Lyra reluctantly announced she needed to return to her quarters before curfew. When can I see you again? Marcus asked, watching her dress. Tomorrow, same place. He nodded, pulling her down for one last kiss. Be careful out there. After she left, Marcus lay awake, replaying the afternoon in his mind. He knew he'd crossed a line that could end his military career, possibly worse if the Keplers discovered their relationship. Yet he couldn't bring himself to regret it. What he didn't know was that they were already being watched, and that their forbidden connection had set in motion events that would soon engulf not just them, but the entire settlement. Chapter 4. Capture. Marcus woke to the insistent beeping of his communicator. Grudgingly he fumbled for it, his mind still half lost in dreams of Lyra. Read here, he mumbled. Captain, report to my office immediately. Commander Nash's voice was tight with barely controlled anger. Sir, it's 0430. Now, read. The connection cut off. Marcus dressed quickly, a sense of foreboding settling in his gut. As he stepped outside his quarters, he noticed 2 human military police standing at attention. Captain Marcus Reed, one said formally. Commander Nash requests your escort. Not a good sign. Nash wasn't alone in his office. A Kepler official, the same one who had confronted Marcus outside the establishment, stood rigidly beside the commander's desk. His obsidian eyes glittered with triumph. Captain Reed. Nash began without preamble. You're being reassigned effective immediately. Transport leaves at 0600. Marcus stiffened. Sir, the Kepler Council has formally requested your removal from this outpost, Nash continued, not meeting Marcus's eyes. Given our delicate diplomatic position, Federation Command has approved the request. On what grounds? Marcus demanded. The Kepler spoke, his voice cold. Violation of cultural protocols. Interference with local governance. Contamination of a protected class. Protected class? Marcus scoffed. You treat her like garbage. The Zerani female has been taken into protective custody. The Kepler continued as if Marcus hadn't spoken. She will undergo purification rituals to cleanse her of human influence. Marcus lunged forward, only to be restrained by the MPs. What the hell does that mean? Nash stood. That's enough, Captain. You're confined to quarters until departure. NPS, escort Captain Reed back and ensure he remains there. As they marched him out, Marcus caught Nash's whispered words. Supply closet, East Corridor, 10 minutes. Exactly 10 minutes later, Nash slipped into the dimly lit supply closet where Marcus waited. You've really stepped in it this time, son, the commander said, keeping his voice low. Where's Lyra? What are they doing to her? Nash sighed. The purification ritual is their polite term for re-education. It's not pleasant, but it's not torture either. At least not physical. I need to find her. That's suicide. The best thing you can do is get on that transport. Marcus shook his head. Not happening. I figured you'd say that. Nash handed him a small data chip. Security access codes. The Zerani is being held at the municipal building, lower level. But you didn't get this from me. Marcus stared at the chip. Why are you helping me? Nash's weathered face softened. 30 years ago, I was stationed on Rigel Prime. Met a local woman. When things got complicated, I chose the safe route. Got on that transport. He paused. Not a day goes by I don't regret it. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. Once you Do this, your career is over, and the Federation won't protect you from Kepler law. Marcus pocketed the chip. Some things matter more than a career. Nash nodded. There's an unmarked Federation emergency shuttle in Maintenance Bay 3. Codes are on that chip too. It's got enough range to reach the Centauri outpost if you can't resolve this locally. Why Centauri? Captain Torres runs that station. Old friend of mine. She give you sanctuary while things cool down. Nash checked his chronometer. MP's change shift in 5 minutes. That's your window. As Nash turned to leave, Marcus called. After him. Commander, what happened to her? The woman from Rigel? The older man's shoulders slumped. Never found out. That's the worst part. Chapter 5. Escape the municipal building was eerily quiet at this hour. Using Nash's access codes, Marcus slipped past the minimal security. The lower level was a maze of sterile corridors lit by harsh blue lights. He found Lyra in a small cell-like room, sitting rigidly on a bench. Her platinum hair had been shorn close to her scalp, and she wore a shapeless grey garment. When she saw him, her golden eyes widened in shock. "Marcus, how did you?" "No time," he whispered, overriding the door lock. "We need to go now." She didn't move. "They'll hunt us down." "There's nowhere. I have a shuttle. We can reach the Centauri outpost." Lyra stood shakily. "They injected me with something. Said it would purge your contamination." Rage surged through Marcus. He gently took her arm, supporting her weight. "Can you walk?" She nodded, determination replacing fear in her eyes. "Let's go." They had almost reached the exit when alarms began blaring. Voices shouted in the Kepler language, followed by the sound of running feet. "They've discovered you're missing," Marcus said, drawing his sidearm. "Stay behind me." They rounded a corner and came face to face with 2 Kepler guards. Before they could react, Marcus fired, stunning both with precise shots. "You didn't kill them," Lyra observed as they stepped over the unconscious forms. "Not their fault they work for us holes," Marcus replied, checking the corridor ahead. They reached the maintenance bay without further incident. The emergency shuttle sat waiting, its systems already humming to life, as Marcus transmitted the activation codes as they strapped in. Lyra touched his arm. "You're giving up everything for me." Marcus met her gaze. "I'm not giving up anything. That matters." The shuttle lifted off just as Kepler security forces burst into the bay, their weapons fire harmlessly pinging off the reinforced hull as they broke atmosphere. Lyra leaned against Marcus's shoulder. "What happens now?" "First, we get to Centauri Station." He smiled, taking her hand. "Then we figure it out together." What neither of them realized was that their escape would trigger a diplomatic crisis far beyond their personal situation, one that would force both humans and Keplers to confront centuries of prejudice and lies. Chapter 6. Revelation Centauri. Station hung like a gleaming metal spider at the edge of the Veda sector, its 8 massive docking arms extending from a central hub. The emergency shuttle's approach triggered immediate security protocols, but Captain Torres' override codes granted them clearance to dock at a private bay. "That's odd," Marcus muttered as they approached. "There's a lot more traffic than usual for an outpost this remote." Lyra pressed her face to the viewport. "Those ships are Zarani designs. I haven't seen vessels like that since I was a child." The shuttle settled onto the landing pad with a gentle thud. As the engines powered down, the hatch opened to reveal a stocky Latina woman with salt and pepper hair, and the bearing of someone accustomed to command. "Captain Reed?" she asked, extending her hand. "Captain Elena Torres. Nash sent a priority message ahead of you. Said you might need some discreet assistance." Marcus shook the offered hand. Thank you for the clearance, Captain. This is Lyra. Torres's. Eyes widened slightly at Lyra's appearance. Her shorn hair and prison-like garment, but she recovered quickly. Welcome to Centauri Station, ma'am. Let's get you both inside before anyone notices your arrival. As they followed Torres through service corridors, Marcus noticed the captain's tense posture. Something's wrong, he said quietly. Torres glanced back. You could say that. Your little jailbreak has turned into an interstellar incident. The Kepler High Council is demanding your immediate extradition, and Federation Command is scrambling to contain the diplomatic fallout. Shit, Marcus muttered. That's not all. Torres continued as they entered her private quarters. News of what happened has spread through subspace channels. There are reports of Zerani uprisings on 3 Kepler-controlled worlds. Lyra gasped. My people are fighting back. Your people are doing more than that, Torres said, activating a wall screen. They're rallying around you too as symbols of resistance. The screen displayed footage from various planets Zerani in the streets, holding crude images of a human and Zerani standing together. Some carried makeshift weapons. Others simply refused to work or follow Kepler directives. I never intended to start a revolution, Marcus said, stunned. Revolutions rarely start with intent, Torres replied. They start with a single act of defiance that resonates with people who've had enough. Lyra touched the screen, her fingers tracing the image of her people. All this because you sat with me outside an establishment. All this because they made you eat outside in the first place, Marcus corrected. Torres cleared her throat. There's more. Medical scans of the shuttle detected something embedded in Lyra's nervous system. Some kind of tracking device, we think. Marcus's blood ran cold. Can you remove it? Our medical team is preparing, but there's a complication. Kepler Special Forces are already en route. 84 hours. 4 hours? Marcus ran a hand through his hair. How did they respond so quickly? They must have had ships already positioned in this sector, Torres said grimly. Which means they anticipated you might come here. Lyra wrapped her arms around herself. They'll take me back and make an example of me. The hell they will. Marcus growled, placing a protective arm around her shoulders. Torres studied them thoughtfully. There's something else you should know. The Zerani diplomatic corps. What's left of it has sent representatives here. They're requesting to meet with you both. Zerani diplomats? Lyra looked shocked. Our government has been a puppet regime. For centuries. Apparently not anymore, Torres said. The uprisings have emboldened some officials to break from Kepler control. They arrived yesterday requesting Federation mediation. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. What had begun as a simple act of decency had escalated into something that could reshape interstellar politics. We need to get that tracker out of you, he told Lyra. Then we can meet with your people. Torres nodded. I'll escort you to medical. But first, she opened a storage compartment and removed civilian clothing. These should fit. Best not to draw attention. As Lyra changed in an adjoining room, Marcus turned to Torres. Why are you helping us? This could end your career. The captain smiled grimly. Nash and I served together during the colonial wars. He saved my life twice. Besides, her expression hardened. I've seen how the Keplers treat Zerani. It's a disgrace. The Federation has ignored for too long. Lyra emerged wearing a simple jumpsuit that complemented her azure skin. Despite her cropped hair and the strain of recent events, she carried herself with newfound dignity. You look beautiful, Marcus, said softly. She smiled, a blush darkening her cheeks. Even like this. Especially like this. Their eyes locked, communicating feelings too complex for words. The connection between them had deepened beyond physical attraction into something neither had expected to find in this corner of the galaxy. Torres cleared her throat. We should move. The medical bay is expecting you. As they navigated the station's corridors, Marcus noticed people, humans and aliens alike, watching them with curious expressions. Word of their arrival had clearly spread. You're celebrities, Torres murmured. For better or worse. A young human engineer passing by caught Marcus's eye and gave a subtle nod of approval. An elderly Arcturian couple whispered excitedly as they passed. They know who we are, Lyra said, amazed. They know what you represent, Torres corrected. Hope. Change. The idea that standing up for what's right matters, even when it's difficult. Marcus squeezed Lyra's hand. We never asked for this. No. One ever asks to become a symbol, Torres replied. But sometimes the universe thrusts that role upon you anyway. As they approached the medical bay, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Torres's communicator buzzed urgently. Captain. To command, report, she barked. Sir, came a tense voice. Kepler vessels have just dropped out of hyperspace. They're demanding immediate docking clearance and the surrender of the fugitives. Torres's expression darkened. Stall them. Security protocols, docking queue, whatever it takes. Yes, sir. Also, we're receiving transmissions from the Zarami. Ships. They're moving to intercept the Keplers. Damn it, Torres muttered. We're out of time. Chapter 7. The truth revealed. The medical bay was a stark contrast to the rest of Centauri. Station pristine white surfaces and cutting-edge equipment that wouldn't look out of place on Earth's most advanced facilities. Dr. Maya Chen, a petite woman with intense focus in her eyes, was already reviewing holographic scans of Lyra's nervous system. The device is unlike anything I've seen before, she explained, manipulating the 3D image to zoom in on a small metallic object nestled at the base of Lyra's brainstem. It's not just a tracker. It's integrated with her neural pathways. Can you remove it? Marcus asked, gripping Lyra's hand. Dr. Chun frowned. Yes, but I'm more concerned about what else it might be doing. These tendrils. She highlighted microscopic filaments extending from the device. They're secreting some kind of compound directly into her cerebrospinal fluid. Lyra paled. They're drugging me. More like programming you, came a new voice. From the doorway, they turned to see a tall, broad-shouldered man in the distinctive black uniform of Federation Special Operations. 3 similarly dressed operatives flanked him. Commander Jake Blackstone. He introduced himself with a curt nod. Earth Command sent us to extract you both. Torres stepped forward. I wasn't informed of any extraction team. Classified operation. Blackstone replied. Need to know basis only. Marcus positioned himself protectively beside Lyra. Why would Earth Command care about us? Because what started as a minor diplomatic incident has become a potential flashpoint for interspecies war, Blackstone said bluntly. And because what Dr. Chun just discovered confirms our intelligence about Kepler control methods. Dr. Chun looked startled. You know about these devices? We've suspected for years that the Keplers were using neural implants to keep Zarani docile, Blackstone explained. But we've never had concrete evidence until now. Lyra's hand trembled in Marcus's. They've been controlling my people. Making US accept our treatment. Not controlling exactly, Dr. Chen clarified, studying the scans more closely. The compound appears to target areas of the brain associated with aggression and resistance. It doesn't control your actions, but it makes you more compliant. Those bastards, Marcus growled. Blackstone nodded grimly. The Federation has maintained neutrality in Kepler-Zerani relations for centuries, citing cultural sovereignty. This evidence changes everything. A medical technician rushed in. Doctor, the Keplers are demanding we halt all procedures. They claim the Zorani female is their property under interstellar law. Property? Marcus spat. We need to move quickly, Blackstone said. Our shuttle is prepped for immediate departure to Earth. The Federation Council needs to see this evidence firsthand. Torse's communicator buzzed again. Sir, Kepler forces are attempting to override our docking protocols. Estimated breach in 20 minutes. Dr. Chun turned to Blackstone. Can you remove the device in time? She nodded. I can, but I'll need at least 15 minutes. Do it, Blackstone ordered. We'll hold the Keplers off. As Dr. Chen prepared for the procedure, Marcus pulled Lyra into a quiet corner of the medical bay. I won't leave your side, he promised, pressing his forehead against hers. Lyra's golden eyes shimmered with unshed tears. I'm scared, Marcus. Not of the procedure, but of what happens after. If what they say is true, if my people have been chemically subdued for generations, then they'll finally have a chance to be free. He finished for her. And we'll help them. She reached up, tracing the line of his jaw with cool fingers. When I first saw you outside that establishment, I thought you were just another arrogant human who would forget me by morning. I never imagined you'd turn my world upside down. Marcus caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. Best mistake of my life, sitting next to you. Their lips met in a desperate, passionate kiss, one that acknowledged the danger surrounding them while defying it. In that moment, species differences meant nothing. They were simply two beings who had found each other against impossible odds. Touching. Blackstone commented dryly from across the room. But we're on a clock here. They separated reluctantly. Dr. Chen gestured for Lyra to lie on the surgical table. This won't hurt, she assured her. You'll be conscious but sedated.